So a little bit more actually before I considered this finally done. One, I did not like the way the existing LED lights were positioned along the inside rim of the frame. I don't like seeing the individual LEDs, so I found a lighting strip that was like a continuous LED all the way around, and it really ended up pretty well. There's actually 2 different light strips inside each cavity, and it's more of a ribbon instead of individual LEDs, which is kind of unique. They were 4.5, well, they were 1.5 meters each, and perfect fit. This one I didn't have to cut it all. The top one I trimmed maybe, I don't know, like, I don't know, inch and a half from, but worked really well. They plug in individually. They each have a little, if you can see it, individual switch, which does have a dimmer and a power off. So pretty happy with that. The other thing I changed out, I found some magnet bars that actually have screws on them. So there's screwed in there and here, which one makes it a little more flush. You don't see as much of the bar through the glass. It's interesting too because this one's sideways to that one. There's a little bit of a repelling force here, which means you can leave it open without it closing, but then you close it and it's really snug. Pretty happy with that. Really like it. So this is more of what I originally intended, is that you see the glow of those 2 cavities through the pane. There's some imperfections in the transparency behind it, but, and if I wasn't going to do what I'm planning to do, I would probably redo the film on the back. But eventually it's going to be more decals, much like the fridge, all over, so I don't think the imperfections are really going to matter. But it really came out pretty well. Really happy with that. I did find, this last thing, I really didn't like the power strip that I had in here before. It was just bulky, the cord was bulky. So I found this, and it fits perfectly. The outlet here is just a 1 outlet plate, but it's a full-size plate. So this converts it to 2. And it gives me a few USB, and it's a pretty slimline little expander, and it fit both wide and deep in the hole. So yeah, came together really well. I'm gonna clean it up, but I still have the cellular antenna, router and antenna mounting to do, so I don't want to really finish this up before that's done, because that's going to affect the whole system here. And we'll see how it finally ends up. This week's project is the installation of the Pepwave router and antenna set. The router is the Max BR1 Pro 5G, which is a fairly progressive newer router, which does have the 5G setup. And the antenna is the Mobility 42G, again set up for 5G. So it's going to route through the fridge vent, at least that's the plan, and come down and hopefully mount in the new little setup that I've got for it, the little cabinet over here. So we're going to unbox and see what we got going on here. Alright, antenna head right there. Couple things of screws. The circular mounting plate I'm actually planning to mount to the flange that's above the fridge vent on the roof rather than actually drill into my roof. So this will drill through there, mount to the flange, and it'll sit a little bit above the fridge vent. I'm really hoping these cords are going to be long enough. I think they're 6 feet, so I'll have to check. Alright, moment of truth here. Yeah, I think that should work. That should be long enough for sure. Yep. Alright, so this is going to mount up to here, I believe. I think this may actually come off, yeah. So that's going to come in there like that. This will tighten down after it. Like so. Nice. So to mount with that head up, and these will have to snake down. I've got, for the installation, this pack, they call them Cable Glands. So I'll drill through the vent, and these are waterproof little cable joints that you snake the cable through, and then they'll go through the flange, or through the vent, sorry, and tighten that up, and it should give a watertight seal. Alright, so that's the antenna. And this is the router. Nice. So all those antennas here will attach up to that. SIM card's going to go in here. We'll be ready to go. Very cool. Alright, so in the box we've got a little bit of cord tape. Nice. GPS antenna, although I think that there's a GPS antenna on this, which will be better. And then we've got our power adapter here. Very good. And then in the bottom here we have our antennas that would go there if we weren't using this. I think the Wi-Fi antennas though will still be the same. I may try this out with these antennas and just see how it goes. Yeah, these are the Wi-Fi antennas, so those will still be the same. Just see how it goes with those and see what the signal difference is between this and using the cell booster that I've got. The kind of underlying reason for all of this is this right here, which I actually got last year at this same part because of the same problem, which was that the cell signal was kind of weak. And then the Airstream acts as kind of a Faraday cage. It's a metal box that blocks out signal. So this is a WeBoost Drive Reach X, I believe, which just provides an external antenna which brings the signal outside. The signal is actually usable, it's just that the Airstream blocks it. So this provides an antenna outside and brings the signal inside, where the internal cell booster mounts right here, next to the Netgear Nighthawk mobile hotspot. So it brings the signal. The signal is actually coming from an antenna right up there on the outside and brings it down here with a boost. It attaches with a 12-volt connector. If you can barely see it in there, to the Goal Zero lithium battery. And then the cable for the antenna snakes outside through the door. I've just got some electrical tape to kind of guard it. And comes up here to where it mounts to a little magnetic plate. You can kind of see where it comes around the corner there. So really what I was planning was whether or not to try to mount on the outside shell of the Airstream a little electrical box, which would have connections for the antenna so I didn't have to snake it, you know, through the door, and I could connect it on the outside of the Airstream outside through a little electrical box. I had also planned to do a 110 volts connection to the lithium ion pack, because that's kind of the way I recharge the batteries when we're boondocking. But it involved cutting into the Airstream, which I wasn't a big fan of, and installing a bunch of connections, which, long story short, I decided to go with the bottom line, which is this setup. Instead of doing all that, now the power is still a thing for the battery, but I can always snake that inside if I have to. But yeah, so this will give a superior connection on the roof, probably even superior to that, so I really shouldn't need that anymore, because it's the boosting from this antenna is going to be much superior to that little antenna this boost is using. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. I do have to get a flange part for the vent up there. I think I'll probably just get one that can do all of these at once. And yeah, we'll get it installed and see how it's going. Alright, for now I've got it temporarily just mounted right here with a command strip to the back. And I've got just the default antennas with it on. Bottom are the Wi-Fi, the top are the cellular. So we're going to see how it does, see if I can sign in and make sure the internet actually works on it, and then see how the signal is. Eventually the antenna cords will have to route through the back of this, probably dropping through here, then through the top of here, and coming through that ledge right there. One of the big deals with this is that I'll have to figure out how to drop those behind the fridge, and the fridge has to come out for that. So that'll be kind of the next project, to try to figure out how to take the fridge out. But for right now, I'm going to sign in and see if I can boot up the router. Alright, I've reached the point where it's time to try to get this fridge out of the way so I can route the wires down behind here. And I think, unlike some of the videos on the internet that had screws coming through either the cabinets or down below or through the side, I think this fridge only has screws here, there, down there, and here. I think that'll do it. I'm gonna pull those little things off and then unscrew that and see if it's loose. And then I've got to go outside and disconnect all the hookups from the back, including the propane, which is a little annoying, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I've got a few things here to disconnect. Got the propane down here, AC power up there, and a couple of DC circuits to get disconnected as well. And then we'll see if this fridge will pull out. Alright, so I've got everything disconnected, which was actually pretty simple. Propane here, AC up there. I've capped off all my 12 volt stuff. I'm gonna see if the fridge pulls out. So the fridge is out. It's surprisingly heavy, even with all the food taken out of it. So there's that. I luckily had this toolbox that was kind of the right height to bring it out on. So now we've got this opening. You can see through there to the outside. And there's the shaft that leads up to the vent. So you kind of see here where the bolt grommets are for the old TV mount. So that'll kind of give me a judge on the inside where I can drill. Alright, I can't get the right angle for this, and my 1-inch hole bit, it's right here, it keeps jamming. So I think I'm gonna have to take this fin off. So I unscrewed it, now I just gotta get something to take that VHB tape off underneath. Alright, so I've managed to put a hole in the flange here, and a hole with a cord protector right there. call it a cord gland, I think. So now I just have to remount this flange and then tighten that up a little bit. And we should be good to go and start making connections inside. Alright, we've got our wires draped down inside here. Nice long run, pretty good. And got our inside flange installed, so hopefully that's good and watertight. Just ran them all through a 3/4 inch cable gland. So that's pretty good. There's not as much room to work here as I would have liked. There's just this slot, which makes it kind of difficult. But cables are down. Now I just got to run them to the router, and then I think we can put the fridge back in. Hopefully this food isn't going bad out here. All right, we've got our cables coming in right there. Just gotta snake them over to the router here. I can't bring them in any closer because the fridge lies flush up against this wall. You can see the grommets for the old mount there, yeah. So the fridge is like right up here, so I can't bring it in like right above the router. That would have been nice, but bring it in over there and snake them in. I'm gonna run a last speed test on the existing antennas and then see how it changes when I put in the new ones. Okay, connections are all made. Speed test is done, which is pretty impressive. Not only have I doubled since the Nighthawk, but about, I don't know, another third doubled with, another third added with the antenna setup. So pretty cool. All locked in, pretty happy with it. Yeah. So now I just gotta put the fridge back, put the groceries back in the fridge, get everything cooled back down. We'll be ready to close this off. All right, that's it for the top of the roof. Got the cords kind of neatly tucked away in like a cord protector thing there. Taped it up. Looking good. Sturdy. Very cool. I like it. Alright, and trying to repair the fridge. This is the little control panel on the inside of the door. I don't see any fuses. So the next thing to check will be outside. Alright, so the whole fridge is out again. This is kind of the last thing to check. I checked all the voltages. I can't figure out anything. As far as I know, voltage is going into the box here, and it's coming out. Although I don't know which pins are supposed to be which voltages, so that's kind of weird. A fun little note is that the battery disconnect does not disconnect the direct DC connection there. It must be hardwired directly to the battery, which is kind of annoying. It was sparking up against the side of this pipe when I thought I had the disconnect done. So now I'm just looking to make sure there's nothing obvious here. I don't know, a wire loose, something. There's really no electronics on the back of this thing other than this cable. Yeah, I don't see anything. Yeah, so this is kind of the last thing to check, and if I put it back and it still doesn't work, I mean, I think maybe I'll try to tighten these down a little bit. But if it's still not working, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to call a repair person, I guess. Maybe it's the board. I took this thing off and you cannot get in here. So if it has fuses, I don't see a way inside that. These little things pop off, but in there, I don't see any way to get in there. Yeah, so I am not seeing anything more. I don't know where this cable's going. It goes inside. It must be a temperature thing. Okay. I guess put it back. So this is what I'm currently doing while the fridge is out. Still a loss of power. I had these pans. I put one up here in the fridge. Still has a bunch of ice in it. Just using the old ice block method and ice box. There's no sense in storing this stuff out on the counter. I mean, there's storage space in the fridge. It's just not super cold. So you can see that's mostly melted there. That's been since yesterday. It's about 24 hours, not too bad. So you can see we're at about 50 degrees. It's pretty cold in here. Like it's doing okay. But hopefully until I can use up some of this food, it's gonna work for keeping this cold enough. So I'm gonna change out the ice in that pan, keep the ice that's already still there. This was sitting down under the wheel well. I didn't have enough space for it in the fridge, and it's just the coldest spot under the rig that I thought it would take a while to melt anyway, and it did pretty good. It was about half this bag, so it melted some, but not too bad. Caused a lot of condensation as it melted in here. I don't know if that water kind of got everywhere, but that's fine as long as it keeps it cold. I've got the meats from the fridge in the little cooler under the Airstream wheel well with more ice in it, so hopefully they'll stay. There's not a lot, but hopefully it'll keep it okay. So I've opened up the main kind of wiring box here in the Airstream, and I found what looks like the colors, at least, that are supplying the fridge. There's that orange and white stripe, there's the orange, there's the green and black stripe. I don't see the white. But there they are. So the question is, where do they go from here? Looks like I can see them down there. Alright, so they're getting bundled into here. Here is a white wire as well. And then all of this is going here. And then it's gonna go behind here. But somehow it ends up in the compartment, which is behind the fridge there. It ends up coming up through the floor. So unless this comes over and then goes up through that way, I don't really know what's going on there. So I think probably the next thing to do is to open up that DC panel and see if there's any fuses that would be affected. I had the thought that even though there's a hot wire, maybe there's a fuse on the neutral line. So it's kind of like the voltage has nowhere to go. I don't know. So I'm gonna look into that and we'll see what's going on there. Again, I'm probably about to call the repair folks because I don't really know what else to do with this. I'll try a few more things. Okay, I've opened this up and I'm really curious about this red light here. It is on that green black striped wire, which is kind of the hot wire, I think. I don't know what that is. It says it's a 3 amp fuse, but I don't know what that black kind of cartridge looking thing is or how to get it off. But I think I'm gonna go shut down. This fuse here is the propane fuse. I believe I've had to change that before. But I think what I'm gonna go do is do the battery shut off, bring a light in here, and then try to figure that out. I guess I'll pull those little, I don't know if those are fuses or just like bridge shunts, the little red things. But I'll look into it and see if there's anything I can do with that situation there. 24 volt. I should probably look at the footage from the propane repair before and see if that red light was on. At least I can compare to that. If it was, then there's probably nothing I can do. I can still check those shunt things, but yeah, I think that's gonna be the next step. Okay, so moment of truth. I got this little fuse out. Found some of these at the Radio Shack in town. The RV store did not have them, the RV repair place. It says 2 amp and 24 volts, but the actual little fuses in here are 250. Which I had trouble finding it until I realized that they were actually 250. So we're gonna hope this works. The Airstream manual says something about a 3-way fuse. I don't know what that means unless it's this little housing thing. But we're gonna hope that does the trick and we get the fridge back. So I'm gonna go put it in and then turn the battery back on. Alright, so we've got the fuse installed back in this little cartridge thing. And now, moment of truth. Alright, we're plugged back in. I don't see a red light. Hoping it seems kind of flimsy. Hoping it's all the way in there. Alright, no red light. Maybe that's okay. Let's go turn the battery disconnect back on. I don't see anything from the fridge. Disheartening. Alright, so no fuse blown, looks like. So it looks like it should be good. Having trouble remembering whether the fridge is supposed to show power all the time, or... Come on, man. All right. Fantastic. We are back online. Cool. Let this cool down. We did pretty well with the ice. I mean, it's below 50 right now. I just got a new bag of ice this morning. Yeah. Awesome. We are cooking with gas again.